Mike. I will leave you to introduce yourself.
Oh, that was the shortest introduction I ever had. Thank you. Nice. Yeah, I'm a game AI researcher, long-time friend of some of you, I would say. So it's not the first time I'm here. And I'm actually talking on a more general level, I would say, from a rather academic perspective, but I hope to make it interesting also for you guys from industry. And I want to emphasize in the beginning that I'm not against big tech working in AI. Actually, I like big tech. Sometimes it's a little bit unpleasant for academics, but we'll see about that. So the title of the talk, because we have no time in the eye of the storm, where are we going with game AI? Actually, today I read about the new language models coming up. So there's so much stuff coming up at the moment, it's hard to digest. And it's even harder because I'm one of the people who is asked all the time, like, is this actually taking away our creative jobs or whatever? I don't know. I mean, it's really hard to say. So there's a lot of things going on, and yeah, this is our logo actually. We have a new lab in Leiden University with actually 3 people, but yeah, that's something different. They like labs, and now that I've been promoted to associate professor, so I need to have a lab. So that's the idea. We forget about that. So I'll try to put it in, because we have no time, into 3 different chapters. But they are a little bit fuzzy going over into each other. Jacob, you could actually take over, because actually this was your spot, but I can continue for the time being, and you can take over later. So game AI observations, subjective of course. What about real AI? Because there was somebody actually 10 years ago making a prediction about real AI in games. And what does this all mean for game making? And I have limited experience in game making. I'm still an academic, although I have some contacts to people actually making games, but deal with me if I tell you something wrong. Idea. What's happening, and it's all so fast. So to give you an idea, I mean, most of that you know already. So that was Chess Kasparov, that was Kojir, lost, I mean, probably the best Go player in the world, who lost against the machine, the AI. Yeah, something similar, and maybe even worse, I don't know. I let my students decide usually if OpenAI 5 or AlphaStar is better. I would say AlphaStar is let's say, at least more tricky, but I mean, it's up to you to decide. And of course, we can instantly think, and we just talked about it before the talks, can we transfer that to real world problems? Like, where do we see that in the real world? And Julian Togedis and me have been asked by people from the newspapers, among others, I guess, can we take this and put it to solve any real world problem? And Julian was somehow thinking about, yeah, maybe some logistics problem, I don't know. I think I said no. At least not directly. So it's hard actually. I mean, this is really something. I mean, we were doing StarCraft-based competitions in academia for almost 10 years, and we got nowhere close. So that's really far, far ahead of whatever we did. That's part of the frustration about big tech.
The train.
Yeah, the train thing. Yeah. More to come. So I was asking myself, why do big tech or other AI gurus actually do games? I mean, it's relatively clear, because they develop their algorithms, they combine or recombine algorithms. If you see AlphaStar, for example, there is a tiny bit of really something novel, but a lot of that is actually engineered. And it's made of, I don't say it's bad, it's superb. We can do it, and you need a big team to do it. But actually, much of that is not new. They just put it together in a meaningful way. So you can make algorithms and combine them fast, because games are actually fast to compute. We have, for example, forward models for Go, very easy to compute. If you do that with a driving car, for example, it takes much, much longer to make one experiment. Okay, they also. So this is the short form. I made that up as a vision also for my game lab, basically, I think it's the same that Big Tech also does. We try to improve our algorithms on games a lot because games are cheap as test objects. Then we can push that into real-world applications, and also we can push that into games because games are also real-world applications. And Vanessa and me just discussed that still people come and say, well, this is just for games. Can you do something real? It's like, wait, come on. The games market is the worldwide games market already 2 years ago was as big as the whole amount of social product of states like Qatar, for example. And it's growing quickly, with rates still about 10% per year. So don't know where we end up. Maybe at some point everything will be games, but and then also we have some problems putting everything together. So what are the different areas? Also because people ask me all the time, what are you doing? I'm doing game AI, but it has connections to everything somehow. Yeah, Core for me, this is for me people like Jacob who are doing real stuff. I mean, not this gamey stuff, like with real visuals and open world games and stuff like that. And this is actually, I should discuss this slide. I just digged it up. It is actually an old slide. It is from 2018, and I tried to go through it and see what has actually changed. And I think not so much has changed. Basically, what we do here is still lots of stuff from machine and deep learning. And yeah, we are getting better and better. We are better imitating human behavior with more complex AI. We're using supervised reinforcement learning for model building. We use these models for decision making. But we still don't know what's going on. To a large extent, there's something going on, so it works. Okay. And then there was Alex Champander, something like 10 years ago. He said at the GDC, my prediction is a little bit controversial. I think the next giant leap of game AI is actually artificial intelligence. Are we there now? I don't think so, actually. Okay, I see you agree, so you also don't think so? I think we are really getting better at this. I mean, especially if you see chatbots imitating human behavior intelligent behavior, that is getting much better. But the whole thing with AI seems to be a bit more complicated, so that will take some time. And there are a lot of critical voices. I'm highlighting two here. So one is Gary Marcus. I don't know if you know him. He's blogging very, let's say, pessimistic about AI. All the time. I think he's from psychology originally. He says we just expect too much. So there's things like ChatGPT. It's wonderful. We can do crazy things, but we expect that it's acting like a human, and it doesn't. It doesn't even know how humans act. And of course, if we just build our models from data alone, without concern or without respecting all the edge cases that happen, for example, and also the rare events. It's prone to fail. And that I think that is what we see is happening now at the moment. Bringing domain experts helps a lot. I don't know if you know it, but in the first, let's say, the first version of AlphaFold, where they try to solve this academic competition targets, which nobody ever solved better than 8%. I think they did something like 60% in the first go. And then they added to the team, they added some structural biologists and other people with domain knowledge, and they got another 20%. So they solved 80% in the next. I think that's a very important thing. Bring people together with the domain knowledge and AI experts and solve the stuff together. But do I need to stop already, or there's still time? Okay. Then there's somebody called Gerd Gigerenzer. I had the honor to meet him one time in my life because I was actually a stand-in for somebody else. He's a very famous researcher from psychology. I think he's usually in Germany, in Munich. And he just recently made a book, so this is deliberately that this is pixelated. So he says we are still much better with human intelligence is still much better than artificial intelligence in many ways. And he says, for example, I mean, if you think back to, or if you know, I think 2 years ago, Elon Musk said, until the end of the year, we will have class or type 5 autonomously driving cars. Do we have it now? No, we don't. It's not clear when or if at all. We don't know. So he says we will never have that. Probably. Maybe at some point we will have that, but then we have to change the streets so that it all works. So everybody has to adjust to the AI so that the AI can work in this environment. Another thing he says is, so the book is quite interesting. It's a lot of examples where AI doesn't work, including matchmaking for dating sites, for example. So another big problem is systems are evolving, and the best example is pandemic. All the health system AIs failed because they couldn't do anything with a pandemic that never happened before in the time when the data was captured. So they couldn't deal with it at all. And I heard that at least he's describing that in America, many hospitals, clinics shut down their AI systems because they made so many mispredictions that they couldn't use it anymore. Yeah, rare events may happen actually. So that situation where we cannot really use AI. And I don't know if you know that series. That's from a deepfake UK comedy show. I read the news. Deepfake Neighbor Wars, where actually Greta Thunberg, for example, is deepfaked. So it's actually played by an actress, and it's deepfaked. And she's playing in that role. She's playing a single mother who's always angry with her neighbors. And I heard that this role is actually especially very convincing. Some people say our reality is getting holes. I'm not sure. We can also say we augment reality. But the main takeaway, I think, that we have to learn in the next years, and people maybe have to learn that in school as well, pictures can lie, videos can lie. I mean, we know already text can lie. I can write something on a web page about one of you, and it's a lie. And you know that I could, and you won't believe it, but some people still believe it. We are learning slowly as societies that we don't believe everything that is written somewhere just because it's written somewhere. Same is now true with pictures, because I can make up anything, basically. But the generative AI that we use now is basically remixing things. So I think we cannot really expect wonders about the thing. It's still in development. Maybe a long way until it works in the way we assume. But somehow, every time when some of these new AI things come up, we expect wonders. So it must be sort of absolute, like ChatGPT. Why can't I see ChatGPT just as an attempt to imitate human language? Yeah, it's fine. It makes mistakes. Well, that's okay. It's an attempt to go somewhere. So same, of course, also with other generative AI. And of course, I also read that, because ChatGPT is used so much now also in real websites where people imitate, let's say, potential partners, and some people fell in love with a bot, and then the websites were shut down because of problems with ChatGPT, and it's not reliable and anything. So there were some heartbroken humans. I think we shouldn't fall in love with a chatbot. That's easier said than done, maybe, but also something we have to learn. But we can use it for stuff. For example, we can provide inspiration, like story dice. I can just throw a dice and I get some idea of where my story could go. And that I can do with ChatGPT. And also I can use it for completing things that are boring to write anyway. So a lot of things I have to write as an academic are boring because for the 10th time I describe the same system, or just I copy it in and I have to change small things and it's boring. Maybe also summarize larger text bodies and also generate titles. I heard from Diego that he's doing, and good luck. One more point is we are also, let's say, we're also changing a lot of things in our media use. My daughter, who is 15, plays that game, and she really loves it. And I sat next to her for the 25 hours or so she played it. We laugh. It was very relaxing. The interesting concept in its second installment of the game is you play partly the main character, that is her, and then you play the opponent. Actually, they try to kill each other. So that's the whole, let's say, idea of the game. They have their reasons to do so. It's It's all very well founded, and that works actually. And later on, you switch back to the original character, that also works. Interesting. So I'm just seeing that games go more and more into culture. So we have TV series now from that. But if we ask how are these characters made in the game, it's actually not that different, or not that much different from the deepfake with Greta Thunberg. So it's basically the same idea. Yeah, something that is always, so I did when I entered science or game AI, I did a lot of complaints to people about RTS, real-time strategy games, and what goes wrong there, and why as a player, why I'm frustrated. And I would say now I'm more interested at the moment in open world games, and there are also a lot of things that go wrong or that could be improved. Yeah, one thing is if we have generative systems somewhere in the whole pipeline, can we control it? I think that's the main argument from game industry. Can we control it? Actually, maybe we can't really, but maybe we have to think it all anew. So this is the structure of most open world games I know. So there's a main quest, and yeah, it's of course simplified, but there are a lot of side quests. They have no real role in the whole thing. It's just to level up, for example, or to do something different. Maybe we have to think in terms of multi-quests or multi-main quests or something like that, which is, I assume, more difficult, of course, to handle. Yeah, these actually belong together because these are assumed to be main quests, somehow main quests. But we have actually AI coming to our guide. We have the testing systems now that get better and better. So automated testing should actually, let's say, find the worst glitches. I hope so. And we can actually make content faster because we have PCG. So we can maybe with using AI. Yeah, this is, by the way, this game is 20 years old. Maybe you know it, maybe you don't. One of the few games I know that very early on had a multiplot. So actually you can play in 3 completely different ways. You can play through the whole game. Very interesting. So I think, do we have tools for doing that? I mean, controlling that? Yeah, we have something, but they call it also ambient AI directors whatsoever. So yeah, there's an AI that can control what is going on, and or we can make an AI that is controlling what is going on while the game is running. And we could also use it to control other things, like if, for example, we have a generative system and that does something obviously wrong, or some discussion with the characters going into a completely different direction, then we have to cut it off somehow. So the ambient AI has to find out what to do then. Yeah, just because I'm in the mood of complaining already, some weaknesses of OpenAI games. This I found very, very annoying. So recently, I love Assassin's Creed Odyssey because it's playing in Greece, and I love Greece and Greek history and so on. But recently I found that, for example, if you enter the island of Delos, there's a big temple in the middle, and every time the main character goes there, it says something like, oh, the island where Apollo has been born, or something like that. Impressive. And you go away, you do a mission, you come back, it says the same. Whoa, okay. At some point it's getting annoying. And then there's limited interaction or no interaction with NPC that are actually not part of a quest. And I see, yeah, you cannot really make something for everything, but maybe you have to generate something. Do I need to stop, or because you're coming towards?
It's fascinating. I mean, we could listen all night. We need to wrap up soon.
I'm almost done. It's very near to the end. Okay, and it happens that you have a very close interaction in Assassin's Creed Odyssey, for example, with the character, and then that quest is done, and then the character is around, but you can't speak to it anymore. You cannot even say hi or anything. It's completely ignoring you. Before you were in love. So that's also very strange. But yeah, I would say we can use the new generative AI in playful environments. Why not why not use it for something that is actually not that important? Like any people running around, NPCs running around, not doing anything meaningful, but we could generate a chat with them. Why not? Maybe it makes sense. And interestingly, we have now in Western societies, especially in Europe, we have more than 50% gamers in the population. So the current numbers, the last numbers I heard is that we have more than 300 million people in Europe playing games, casually at least. So we can actually use it also to learn, to educate the people how to deal with these generative systems. Yeah, and then there is team AI, so working together with AI and humans, but I have to wrap up, so I don't go into detail here. And diplomacy, the same situation as with StarCraft. So we were also dealing with that for 10 years in academia, not really nowhere, I would say nowhere close to what they did now. Now big tech is putting out one paper after the other, and basically they sort of solved it in, I don't know, a year or two or so. Weird situation. One thing you can use also to, I mean, that's more the academic perspective, especially it's my perspective in Leiden. You can use games for is you can bring together people of completely different areas. So this is all areas where people in the university in Leiden use games for something, and we try to bring together people now. It's sports, history, ecology, psychology, medicine, education, and there's probably more, maybe even law, I don't know. Games is a connecting element. And yeah, this is the only remarkable thing we did in the last year. So we won a Minecraft competition actually, with stuff coming out of a course. The same course actually I want to invite Duigo all the time for, that she's giving an invite presentation. We'll see if that works. Okay, once you ever come to Leiden, let me know. This is the room where the girl resides. So this is the pronunciation of the game research lab that is used by my PhD students. And yeah, that's it.